Yes, just me or Sonia. In Jesus' mighty name.
Another 2 minutes, guys, and then we'll start.
Can you choose project info and open the top screen to see what's the information included?
Yeah. I will show you all. See, project is for project financing. Project details you can capture.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, I think we are good to start now. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Mahima and I'll be your host for the session. Before we proceed, I would request everyone to go on mute. And in case you have any queries, you can just unmute yourself and ask, or you can use the chat box for the same. Also, I would request you not to turn on your video cameras during the meeting. Okay. Let me quickly take you through Tech Canvas first. Tech Canvas is an IT certifications training organization for professionals, and we help them crack their certification exams in the first attempt. We are IIBA endorsed and PMI authorized training partners. We offer certification trainings for courses like CBAP, ECBA, CCBA, Agile, Business Data Analysis, and more. We also have domain training into courses like banking, finance, healthcare, and etc. Okay, talking about today's session, it is quite helpful for those who are interested in the CBAP domain. We have with us Satish, who has more than 12 years of experience in this domain. So I would request Satish to take this session ahead. Thank you everyone for joining in.
Thank you, Mahima. So, good morning and good evening, folks. So let's get started. So I believe you guys would have gone through the agenda of the session. So next 1 hour, we are going to discuss more about the strategies, and not only about the strategies, we'll also practice some mock questions that are closely related to the IIBA standard. So before we go to the mock questions, I just wanted to give you a heads up for those folks who are preparing for CCBA and CBAP, right? What kind of questions, like what should be your strategy when it comes to the examination? So hope you guys can see my screen. Okay. So the first thing which you need to prepare from the exam perspective is, as they say, Pareto principle, right? 80% effort, 20% effort. So where should you put in the maximum number of effort? So for those folks who are preparing for CCBA, the maximum effort you should put it in RADD knowledge area, because 42 questions out of 130 questions, that is like 32% of the questions can come from Mahima, could you please unmute everyone?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, and for those folks who are preparing for CBAP, this is the count wherein you guys can see that like 30% of the questions will come from RADD knowledge area. So basically, if I have to give you if I have to sum up and tell you like what kind of questions to expect. So totally, I will talk from the CBAP perspective. So totally you have 120 questions in CBAP. So 30 to 35 questions will be straightforward questions, which is more of like CCBA kind of questions, wherein directly they will ask you about like what is the answer? Like, can you tell me what is the important parameter? Can you name the technique? So direct questions, like I would call them as direct questions. So close to 30 to 35 questions can be direct. And the next set of questions is like close to 25 to 30 questions. They can be scenario based questions. So this is like a complete scenario, like paragraph based questions. Like why the reason why I'm asking saying you that it's a paragraph based question is because this can be only 2 or 3 line question, but this can go for 6 or 7 lines, like wherein they will tell you a story like Thomas is working as a business analyst in Acme Corporation, and Thomas is doing this task. Thomas is confused. So if you are Thomas, what will you do in this situation? So those kind of questions, minimum you can expect 25 to 30. And the next category is case study based questions. So case study based questions also, it will be based on, it will be minimum 25 to 30, minimum 5 to 6 case study based questions is what you can expect. And each case study will have 5 questions, 4 or 5 questions. And this can go for 3 or 4 pages. It will have a use case diagram. It will likewise a lot of tables they will give you, and then they will ask you 5 questions based on it. You will have to comprehend the paragraphs, and then you will have to answer those questions. And the last category is like minimum 6 to 10 questions you can expect, mathematical questions. So what is mathematical questions? Sometimes the questions can be related to return on investment and cost benefit analysis. You may have to find out the percentage. You may have to like work on the net present value formula. You may have to do PERT analysis. So these kind of questions you can expect minimum 6 to 10, and don't worry, they will give you an online calculator. And in order to work on this mathematical questions, you should have a solid basic understanding of percentages and addition subtraction. So that's all about it. And now let me tell you about the breakup. So as you have seen here in this slide, 17 questions will come from BAPM knowledge area. So what are those 17 questions? So it can be a combination of knowledge area. So in case you know BAPM, the scope is 17 questions. So how should you prepare? So first and foremost, you should go through the complete knowledge area, and then you should also go through the related techniques. So this 17 is a combination of the knowledge area plus technique. And what should you concentrate more, like from the exam perspective, which are the areas which you need to concentrate? 100% you need to remember the name, all the 5 tasks which are there in BAPM you need to remember, and each of the task, like for instance task 1. So here you need to know the input, you need to know the output, and you need to know the name of all the elements. So there may be 6 to 8 elements for each of the task. You need to remember all the 8 elements, in order to clear the certification. So if these 3, if you're confident, I would say 70 to 80% of the questions you can, this will give you confidence to answer 70 to 80% of the questions. That is like you have to be very much confident about the input, output, and element. And rest 20%, it can be guidelines, it can be stakeholders, or it can also be the techniques. So you guys know maximum effort you guys need to put towards input, output, and element, and rest 20% of the questions can be related to guidelines, stakeholders, and technique. And it is not possible for us to remember the guidelines for all the tasks, all the 30 tasks and everything. But so sometimes here you can take some educated guess. If you're confident about the input, output, and element for all the tasks, right? This itself will give you confidence to like if you're sure, if you're 100% confident what are those elements and you know in detail what do we do. So in this case, you can take an educated guess with respect to guidelines, stakeholders, or technique. So this should be your strategy when it comes to the examination. So now let me go back and let me now I'll be using Tech Canvas in-house question bank which we have prepared. So I mean, if you're serious about CBAP and CCBA, after you do your first round of training, like after you go through BAPOC, all the 6 knowledge areas, the next thing which you have to do is like you will have to take some mock questions, or you will have to attempt some 2 or 3 full-length mock examinations, because only when you give full-length mock examinations you will know like what are the areas which you need to concentrate. And unlike other certifications, CCBA and CBAP certification, the question type will be different, like the way how they ask questions. Even though you're 100% sure about the input, they are not going to directly ask you what is the input of task 1 in BAPM. The first question will be from the first knowledge area, second question will be from the fifth knowledge area, sixth knowledge area, and they're not going to tell you what is the task all about. So, I mean, the way how we prepare for the examination is we know task 1, this is the input, output, and everything. But in the question, I mean, ideally during your examination day, there will be no clue about the task in the question. So you will have to find out like what knowledge area it is, what task it is. Only then you will be able to connect all these dots. So this comes only with practice. So if you're simply memorizing the input, output, and element, that is not at all going to help you in your final examination. So when you prepare for the certification itself, always keep in mind the questions can be tricky and there can be paragraph-based questions, and you will have to synthesize that information and you will have to find out like the best answer. And one more pro tip which I wanted to tell you, there will be, I mean, everything is choose the following. Okay, so you have 120 questions. All the 120 questions is going to be more of like the choose the following or choose the best answer. And here the catch is choose the best answer. So out of 4 options, A, B, C, D, 2 options can be easily eliminated. The very moment when you go through the question itself, you can eliminate 2 options. So in this case, I feel C and B can be eliminated. And you will have to take a choice between option A and D. And what you will have to do, this can be a good answer, this can be the best answer. So IIBA always wants you to click on the best answer. So this is where many folks with 10, 20, 30 years of BA experience, they are not able to clear CBAP in their first attempt. Because when we read a question, we feel that like option A is the best, and that would be the good answer when you compare it from that particular question perspective. But always the IIBA looks for the best answer from the BAPOC perspective. Okay, so this is also one more tip which I wanted to add. So always look for the best answer from the BAPOC perspective, and always keep those real-time experience, right? Based on your real-time experience, what all you feel, that is always the wrong answer. So with that note, I would stress the importance of like always enrolling for full-length mock examination. So Tech Canvas question bank class close to 1,000+ questions. So once you complete your first revision of BAPOC, when you practice 1,000+ questions, your confidence level is going to increase like manifold. So now, in the interest of time, let's do some mock questions. I'll show you what type of questions will be there in the actual examination. So first, let's start with some 2 knowledge areas, and then I'll show you case study based questions also. So now I'm going to start with BAPM. So you guys can turn on your mic, and you guys can also tell me the reasoning why you're thinking that this is the answer. I also want you to give me an explanation. So the first question flashing on your screen. So what is the answer here? Please don't use the chat window. I'll not have access to chat. You can turn on your mic and you can tell me your explanation.
Financial position of the organization, because that's not the approach which is used in the BAPOC business analysis approach.
Perfect. So why business policies, expert judgment is they all matters, because business policy of the organization, if they don't encourage agile innovation communication, so this plays an important role. Expert judgment is based on your history. You would have worked in multiple projects, so you know what works in that particular context. So the only odd one out is the financial position of the organization. So I'm just locking it. So this is a CCBA question. Okay. This is how the question will look in the CCBA examination. Now I'll go to the next question. So BA is facilitating the following activities: how decisions will be made, how approvals will be sought. So what is the task the BA is doing?
Planning, business analysis, governance, because anything relating to decision making falls in this task.
Awesome. The keyword is governance, because in governance there are 4 keywords according to BABOK, which is approval, decision maker, review, and change request. So whenever you see these keywords, decision and approvals, automatically you will have to choose the governance approach. This is also a CCBA question. So which of the factors should the BA consider to decide upon the timing and frequency of approvals?
Size and complexity of change and associated risk of delaying the approval, because availability of stakeholder is not the factor to consider.
Okay. Any other answers? So you all okay with option A?
No, size and complexity of the change and role of the stakeholder.
Okay. Cool. So good answer and best answer. So what is the good answer and what is the best answer here?
First one would be the best answer.
Okay. Cool. So we'll check the answer towards the end. So
I guess it's the 3-1.
Okay. So let me go to the next question. So we are preparing the list of people associated with the project who should be involved in the planning and monitoring of BA activities and managing stakeholder coordination. So you have identified domain SME, sponsor, regulator, operation support manager. Choose the stakeholders who participate in the planning and monitoring of BA activities. So this is a stakeholder related question.
A, B,
C. A, B, and C.
Yes.
Okay. You all agree with A, B, and C? Why no D?
Because operation support. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Operation support manager is not involved in planning and monitoring as per BABOK.
As per BABOK, there is no character called as operation support manager. So we have only operation support. So let me go to the next question. About this.
All the 4.
Yeah, all the 4.
All the 4. Why?
Because they are the relevant stakeholders.
Okay. So let me go to the next question. The sponsor is invited to participate in a meeting which is organized by BA to plan and finalize the change control and approval process. So what is the purpose of inviting the sponsor for this meeting?
Yeah, the sponsor can impose his or her own requirements for how business analysis information should be managed.
Okay. Any other answers?
Third one is right.
Say again, I lost your...
The first one.
First one. Okay. So option A. Any other answers? What is a good and best answer here? So this is a CBAP question.
No. Sponsor cannot provide the need and objective. He's the sponsor, so he's sitting on every top level.
Yeah.
Sponsor can dictate actually, so 3 only.
So the best answer is third one.
Third answer. Okay, good. So let's check it towards the end. So let me go to the next question. So which of the following is not a valid component of the change management process? This is a CBAP question.
Status of the change. Third one.
Yeah, status.
So you all agree with option C?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So now let me go to the next question. So this is a CCBA question. So you're working on managing requirements for a change initiative, and you are assigning a specific number to each requirement, which is not to be altered, even if the requirement is altered. Like what is that?
Absolute reference.
Absolute
Yeah,
reference.
This is a CCBA question. So for those folks who are preparing for CBAP, these kind of questions will be there. Okay, so minimum 30 to 35 questions you will get it. So what should be a strategy? Take only 15 seconds for these kind of questions, or maximum 30 seconds, and you contribute the rest of the time for scenario based questions or those tricky questions. This is also a CCBA question. So you have worked as a business analyst, and project manager discussed with you about the scope, activities to be carried out, timelines. So you have to come up with the output. What should Jaya be creating?
Business analysis
Business
approach.
analyst approach.
Very easy question it was.
Yeah.
Now the last question. Which type of stakeholder needs to be kept satisfied?
High influence and low impact.
Wow. So you're all ready. Nice. So let's check the answer. Eight out of 10. That's a good score.
Too long.
So let's check the answers one by one.
No, I request, can you go with the wrong answers? Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one is that
Oh,
there is none of this. So while planning business analysis approach, you need to also consider business policies, expert judgment as guidelines. A weak financial position is a risk for the project. So business analysts do consider the financial stability while developing the B approach. This was mentioned in section 3.1.5.
Can you click on the third one?
And the third question, your answer was size and complexity and change of the role of stakeholder in the organization. But according to BABOK section 3.4.4, it depends upon the associated risk of delaying the approval also.
Okay.
I mean, this comes with practice only. Now you know these two questions, which were tricky questions. Now you understood, like, okay, size and complexity. So now what happens is that, like, next time when you get question of the similar type, right, it's easier. You will be able to make out, like, okay, which is the best answer in this context. Okay. So these kind of questions you can expect in the actual examination. Any line from BABOK. So you see, each and every line from BABOK is important. And especially for CBAP folks, any line can be converted into a scenario-based question. And it is not possible, like every time when you read BABOK, right, you will not be able to understand that. So that's the reason I was stressing the importance of going with a full-length mock examination, right? So in that case, if you practice 1,000 questions, at least 300, 400 lines from BABOK would have been converted into those 1,000 questions. So you have covered around 300 questions. And if you're going for some other vendor's question bank, another 2,000 questions. So each and every line in BABOK, you have covered it. So 100% I can guarantee you that, like, if questions, if you practice Tech Canvas 1,000 plus questions itself, you can clear CBAP in your first attempt. Because that much practice, that much questions you would have, like, already attempted. So now let me show you case study based questions, which is quite different. So there is no big difference. Okay. So CBAP question, instead of asking you directly, they will tell you, like, Thomas is working as a business analyst there, and they will give you some big context. And then finally they ask you, Thomas is working on this task. What is the input? So what is the strategy that you need to employ there is that, like, don't get lost in all those details. Always focus on the last line of the question. If you focus on the last line of the question, it is going to, like, that you can cut that noise, right? Unwanted noise will be there in the description and all. So always read the last line of the question, then you will be able to take an educated guess. So now let me also show you some of the case study based questions. Let's do automation of oil demand forecasting. So this is how case study based questions, and this is not for CCBA folks, this is only for CBAP folks. You may get questions that can go for 2 or 3 pages. So here you see introduction is there, table, assets forecasting, problem statement, business requirement. Then you have this solution blueprint. So this goes for a single page, right? Sometimes it can go for 2 or 3 pages also. So what is the strategy for case study based questions? Always focus. First, don't waste your time. Skim through the content, okay? So I know there is assets, there is problem statement, business requirement, problem solving, blueprint. Always skim through the content. Oh my God. Once you skim through the content, then spend 30 seconds or 1 minute, then immediately go to the question. And if you feel that like this question cannot be answered, 60 to 70% of the case study based questions can be answered without reading those context. You may not believe me, but more and more case study based questions, when you practice, right, you will understand the importance of reading the question first and then the context later. So now, which of the below listed technique is the best for reporting module? So this you need not.
Concept modeling?
Data mining, because it will give you some sort of trend or pattern emerging.
Perfect.
And it will give you some meaningful insight.
Perfect. So in data mining definition in Babok, it clearly says data mining is a technique that can be used for reporting. So that is the keyword which you need to remember. Concept modeling is not the right answer because concept modeling is used for domain related, and concept modeling is you're just drawing a diagram and that talks about noun and verb. And there is no reference about reporting there. Data flow diagram is not used for reporting. Data modeling is also not used for reporting. So these two are the wrong answers. Concept modeling and data mining, if you're confused, think about it. In Babok, it says noun and verb. So then in that case, this also gets eliminated. So data mining is the best answer. Okay, I'll go to the next question. So which of the below listed option is the best variation for the database module? So this is data modeling related question. So this also I need not
Logical data model.
Okay, are you sure? Logical data model is
Physical data.
Physical data model.
I mean, this is a tricky question, and someone who can answer this can be looked upon as a well-read Babok individual, because this is clearly given in Babok. Physical data model is used for database. Okay. What is logical data model used for? Logical data model is used for solutioning, and conceptual data model is used for like the vocabulary, noun and verb concept. And there is nothing called strategic data model. It is just added in order to confuse you guys. So now let me go to the next question. So here, Phil has asked Jack to submit a report of expected solution benefits, cost of creating the solution, cost of operating the solution, and the potential risk impact. So what technique will Jack use to make this report? So this is also a technique related question.
Estimation, because it is like a forecast, expected solution.
Awesome. So the keyword here is expected. So whenever you're expecting something, then you're estimating it. So many folks will think it is financial analysis and they will click on financial analysis. Financial analysis is something that you do afterwards. So estimation comes first and then the financial analysis. And then next question. So with reference to sponsor definition in Babok and information in the case study, who is the sponsor? This question we cannot answer. So we need to go and find out like where is this reference in the paragraphs. So yeah, so here when you see here, right, in this particular problem solving, you can see here Matthew. So now tell me who is the sponsor?
Phil, because he is accountable.
Awesome. So the keyword in sponsor, when you read the definition of sponsor in Babok, it clearly says sponsor is accountable and sponsor can, what is the other keyword? Accountable and?
Responsible.
No. Approval authority. So always in CBAP questions, whenever there is authoritative or somebody who is can be like who's accountable plus approval, it is always the sponsor. So now let's check whether it is Phil. So sponsors are accountable for the solution scope and provide insight to be utilized when assessing change. So this is a keyword, accountable, and the completion of the task and is the decision maker.
Satish, can you please show that paragraph again? Please the forecasting head.
Second line, problem solving.
Yeah, this is only. Please the who is the forecasting head at Phil?
So always look for the keyword accountable.
Okay, Phil will be accountable for the
yeah. Okay. So now let me go to the next question. So if you know gain Sarsen notation, data modeling technique, and if you keep forecasting process, where is forecasting process? So here you see forecasting, final forecasting, right? As the central application, demand generation can be best described. So yeah, maybe this one I can keep forecasting. So what is the role of demand generation? Is it input data, external agent, data source? So gain Sarsen. Okay, gain Sarsen notation, if you have gone through in WebOC, external agent is always represented in the form of a rectangle. So in this case, the demand generation is like an external agent for me, because that is what, if you remember WebOC notation, right? Gain Sarsen notation in WebOC, external agent is always represented in the form of a rectangle. That's all.
Any other notation, Sadish?
Gain Sarsen notation, Jordan notation.
Okay, no. Other than rectangle, any other no diagram like square denotes something.
Yes, I'll show you that. So process will be represented in the form of rectangle, double square,
rounded edges.
So you need to remember all these notations, both Jordan and gain Sarsen. Definitely you will get one question on these notations. So there can be scenario-based questions also, wherein you may have to go through the flows, data flow, data store, these kind of questions they will ask. Like for instance, what is the input for deposit cash? So the input for deposit cash comes from the customer cash and all. Like look into those data flow diagrams and everything, and also find out which is the data store. So account DB is the data store here. And here you see external bank is like the external agent. Bank clerk is an external agent. So level 0, they can go for level 2. Okay, till level 2 you can get this DFD diagram. Okay, cool. So many folks, the very moment when they see some 6 or 7 paragraphs, they fret because they think that like this is quite huge. How am I able to? So my strategy, which I would recommend you, is that normally the very moment when you click on start button, the first question can be a case study based question. So it can go for like 6 or 7 pages, or maybe 2 or 3 pages. So my recommendation is bookmark those questions and then you come back to it later. And you complete all those CCBA kind of questions and scenario based questions, and you will have ample time. Then you come back for the case study based questions, because normally what happens is that like when we see big paragraphs, automatically we lose our confidence. And normally they say, right, they want to break your confidence. So that's the reason the case study based questions are kept during the initial part in order to break your confidence. So don't fall into the trap. Always complete case study based questions towards the end. Focus more on CCBA plus scenario plus mathematical, and then later you will have ample time, like out of 3.5 hours. Within 2.5 hours itself, if you're like already you have the time management skills, and if you have already given 2 full-length mock examinations, you will have ample time in order to go with case study based questions. So we'll do one more case study based question. So which one to choose? I'll see modernization of insurance system in Agile. So most of the case study based questions can be also use case diagrams. So this kind of use case diagrams, right? So you'll have to go through and find out. So what is this? There is a project brief, there is a problem description, and some process flow. There is a BA approach and a BA deliverables. Then again, there is a process flow diagram, which is expected solution. Okay. So I guess this is as is, and this is to be. Okay. Now let me go to the question. So the client asked BAPL to assure that the application must not allow a closed claim to be reclaimed. This statement from client will be recorded by BAPL as what? So this is
Rule. Rule. Business rule.
okay.
Business objective or business rule?
Business.
Objective or rule? Yeah, rule.
Okay. Any other answers?
It should be rule. Yes.
Okay. So you have fallen into the trap.
Wait, application.
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell the answer.
User story.
The answer is user story. This is very specific, very estimable.
Scenario.
Yeah.
Yes. There are two types of business rule. What are the two types of business rule?
Behavioral rule and definitional rule.
Perfect. So definitional rule and behavioral rule. So whenever you read any statement and looks to you a more of like a definition, define something, then it is a definitional business rule. For instance, a priority customer is the person who buys more than $100. So you are defining a priority customer, and that becomes the definitional business rule. Behavioral business rule that talks about a scenario, it talks about a condition, it talks in this particular situation, you will have to do this. So do you think it will qualify?
User story.
This becomes an user story.
Yeah, and this is not a business objective, because business objective, according to BABOK, it has to be written based on SMART framework. So this is not based on SMART framework. So this doesn't qualify to be a business objective. And business objective is a long term or a short term. So this is eliminated. This is eliminated.
Is everybody that they are which account? Yeah, Papa has been which Papa? It's the same thing this person is doing now.
Okay. So in this case, I'll eliminate business objective, and Epic is not at all related to this. So in this case, even if I'm not sure, I'll go with user story. That's it. 70% of the people end up in dilemma between business rule and user story. Business rules are a set of statements that indicate whether something can be done or provide criteria and conditions. Business rules can be used to split user stories. Very easy question. Now let me go to the next question. They've given you a diagram, and then they're asking you what diagram is this, like whether it is a context diagram, data flow diagram, sequence diagram, or activity diagram. Very easy.
Activity diagram.
Okay. So what is the difference between data flow diagram and activity diagram?
So in activity diagram, you have a relation between.
Do we have activity diagram in BABOK as a technique?
In data flow diagram, there is no, it doesn't represent any sequence.
Okay. No, do we have activity diagram in BABOK?
There is no activity diagram.
Okay. So then what is the best answer?
Context diagram.
Context or sequence?
No, context.
Context is related to the business domain. So context is also a wrong answer.
Wait, data.
Sequence.
Data flow diagram.
It's very easy. Data flow diagram. It tells you how data flows from this particular reimbursement to insured customer, and from there, what all things that are processing and everything, it gives you the data.
Why do they confuse with maintain the status around that?
Which one?
Okay.
Yeah, what happens that once the data is received, it is updating the status and it is going to a different data store. I guess there will be a data store here. So if you see your order notation. So in Gain Sarsen, it was rectangle, and here it is circle. That's what I told you. 100% you can expect a question on E-order notation and gain sarsen. So remember these notations. So now let me go to the next question. So they have to work on some kind of estimation and they have given me 4 techniques. So I have to find out where estimation is. So I will do Control F. Okay, I'm getting a clue that like it must include high level estimation. So now can you come back and tell me which of these techniques are high level estimates?
Rough order of magnitude,
And then
top down.
very easy question. This is a straightforward question because they too are called as high level estimation because you don't take you further you don't decompose into smaller elements and that you do in only bottom up. So top down and rough order magnitude, very high level estimation is what Babcock clearly says. So now the next question. This is more of like a CBAP question. So you have a discussion with the sponsor and now you have created some metrics. So which of the following task correctly describes what Matthew is doing? This is how scenario-based questions will write. You have created the
measure solution performance.
Okay, which knowledge area are we talking about?
Solution evaluation.
Solution evaluation. The first task in solution evaluation is you need to come up with these measures. That's all. Direct question, right? But many folks, they fall into the trap. They will first think, what is this knowledge area? And they will completely waste their time. And then they will go and click on analyze performance measure. But here you have created the metrics. So that is the first task. So this is how case study based questions. I'll tell you case study based questions are one of the easiest questions wherein you can score 100 out of 100. And CCBA kind of questions also are the cakewalk kind of questions wherein you can score 100 out of 100. Sometimes you may falter under scenario based questions wherein you may not understand which knowledge area, which task it is. So that's the reason I'm asking you to concentrate more on input, output, and elements. If you're confident of all the 30 tasks, then this is also going to be your cakewalk. So that's all I had for today.
What is 30 task, Sadish?
Sorry?
We have 6 knowledge areas.
All the elements.
Okay. 6 and 5. Okay. Yeah.
So now I'll answer all your queries. If you have any queries.
Satish, Shiva here. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Satish, like have 50 techniques altogether. Though we have plans to, we will have to go through each of the techniques. But can you please list out the most important so that we can concentrate more on that? Because, 6 to 7 techniques are, very rare techniques that we don't use in our day-to-day job. So if you can just explain.
So based on the order, okay, based on the order, like maximum number of questions. So financial analysis, estimation, data modeling, decision modeling. So these are all the trickiest area. Any line from this technique can be converted into a question. So that's the reason I'm adding it separately. Decision modeling. And then what else? Data modeling, sequence diagram. In sequence diagram, they can ask you about synchronous and asynchronous flow. In data modeling, they can give you level 2 or 3 DFD diagram. Okay, sorry, data modeling plus data flow diagram. Sorry, data flow diagram will come here. In data modeling, they can give you a ER diagram or a class diagram, and then they will ask you to find out the multiplicity there. So
cardinality.
Cardinality. So here it can be a level 2 or level 3 DFD, and then they will ask you like what is the data store, or like for this particular process, what is the input output, and it will be very easy if you just follow those arrow marks, right? So these are all the trickiest areas. Yeah, very, very important. Use case diagram. Here they may play with include and extend. So these, all the techniques are important, but these techniques, when you read, go through each and every line, you never know, anything can be converted into a question. And apart from it, from exam perspective, they will ask you the difference between brainstorming and focus group, and then reviews, and then surveys, interviews. So these all things you just simply read, and definitely one question on data dictionary glossary. So these are the most important techniques.
Hello, I have a question.
And one second, I'll one more input which I wanted to add. I get many questions like, what should be the strategy for techniques? How should you prepare the strat? I mean, like I have 50 techniques, more than 300 pages. What should I do? First thing, I'll ask you only 3 questions. If you can answer those 3 questions, then you're good with techniques. The first thing is, what is that technique all about? So if you can answer when brainstorming can be used and everything, what is that technique called and how to do that technique? How to perform that technique? That if you have to answer, like brainstorming has some 12 steps and data modeling has ER diagram, class diagram, when it can be used. If you can answer this questions for all the 50 techniques, if you confident with all the 3 questions, then you're ready for the examination. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Hi, this is Riyadh.
Yeah, Riyadh.
You haven't mentioned anything about underlying competencies. I've seen some questions related to them. How many questions should we expect about underlying competencies? And what about this other parts of the book, like context and agile and something? Should we expect any questions from them?
Yeah, very good question. So minimum 1 or 2 questions can come from underlying competencies. And the first 3 chapters, like a concept, type of requirements and all, minimum 1 or 2 questions can come, but that will come along with the knowledge area. PACCM model. You got it, Riyadh?
Oh, okay. The second part, can you repeat the second part?
Yeah. So the first 3 chapters, BACCM, type of requirements, basic concepts, minimum 1 or 2 questions, but that will be, they may be asking as part of the case study, and it will be tied to the knowledge area. And underlying competencies, minimum 1 or 2 questions. That's it. Maximum 1 or 2 questions. That's it. And there'll be no questions on perspectives.
Thank you.
Sadish, one question. Do we need to relate techniques and knowledge areas?
No, because concentrate more on the elements and techniques. There may be some task in BABOK where there will be only 3 or 4 techniques. Like approval of requirements, there is only 4 techniques wherein how you can get the approval of requirements. Those kind of tasks you need to remember. You got it, Nisar? If there are more than 7 or 8 techniques, you don't need to remember them. But only if there are only 4 or 5 techniques for that particular task, those things can be a very important exam question.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah, another question. How we can get this recorded session?
You can reach out to Tech Canvas team. They will be. Mahima, you're there?
I think they post in YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can talk to Mahima or the Tech Canvas support team, and they will be uploading it in the YouTube channel, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So how was the session? Did you guys like it? Was it useful for your preparation? Any feedback?
Yeah, very much, Satish. In fact, the last 4, tips that you have given, no questions from the perspective, the techniques, wherever you have 4 to 5 techniques, those are the important ones. So these are some things that, we are pretty new to these kind of, what you say, shortcuts. So yeah, it was very helpful.
Thanks, Shiva.
I would say too much in short time. That is what I would say in one word. So maybe this is this
case study. All I have is 1 hour, and in 1 hour I'll have to dump all those data. And one more thing which I will tell you, when you are giving mock examinations and if you're scoring 65% or something, it's okay. If you score 65 to 70%, 100% you will clear the final examination. And nobody can score 80 to 100% in full-length mock examinations also. But when you give full-length mock examinations, 2 things you need to concentrate. First is your level of understanding. Are you able to decompose synthesize that question, find out which task or knowledge area it is all about. Second thing which you need to focus is time management.
Is Canvas providing the full length mock?
Yes, we give you 3 full length mock examination.
Only after making the payment of exam, right?
Yeah. Question bank.
Okay.
Because you can buy question bank alone, yeah.
But if I taken training, do I need to buy the question bank separately?
No, it will be there.
Yeah, so that is what you have executed today, right? Is that the mock exam, or there is any separate mock exam?
No. Mock exams, let me share my screen. It's from the same tool only, what I showed you today, right?
Yeah.
If you go here, three full length simulated tests, separate test.
I can't see your screen.
Okay. Can you see here? Full length simulated test.
Yeah, okay.
This is separate.
So if you repeat the test, will the questions be changing or the same question?
No, I mean, after 3 attempts, the questions will be repeating because there is only 1,000 questions here.
Okay, fine.
One question, that being said, like 65 to 70 will, like a fair score.
Yes.
For a confidence standpoint. Now, Can you please let us know what will be the clearing percentage? Because we generally assume that it is 70%. So is that you have to get 70% out of the total 120 questions, or in every knowledge area you should get 70%?
Okay, very good question, Shivakumar. So IIBA has not made that logic public, so nobody on earth can comment on that because nobody knows. So this is how you get the result. You will be assessed on all the 6 knowledge areas. So knowledge area 4, or I guess RADD, right? If you score lower in RADD, you will have to reattempt the certification. This is like knowledge area 5. In knowledge area 5, if you score lower, you will have to reattempt the certification. So if you score lower in knowledge area 2, and if you get higher in all the knowledge areas, then you need not reattempt. So this logic is not at all published by IIBA. They have made it secretive. So, but what I understood based on the participants is that lower is less than 60%, comparable is 70%, higher is 80%. So if you get 80% of the questions right in knowledge area 6, then you're higher. 70%, you're in comparable. Less than 60%, then you're in lower. If you get 2 lower in any 2 knowledge areas, definitely you will have to reattempt the certification. But at the same time, 2 lower, if you're getting 1 lower and rest all our things are higher, then IIBA will not ask you to reattempt. But knowledge area 5, if you get lower, 100% you will have to reattempt. So there is nothing like 70% or 90 questions if I get it right, 100 questions I get it right, nothing. Knowledge area 5 is important, and other knowledge areas. Try to score at least out of 20 questions in each knowledge areas, try to get at least 17 to 18 questions right. Any more questions, anyone? Mahima, you're there? So 1 second. Okay, guys. So if you have any questions, or if you want to know more about the Tech Canvas offerings, you can reach out to Mahima or the Tech Canvas support team. So I had a nice time talking with you all. So all the best for your exam preparation. And if you have any questions related to the certifications, please reach out to the Tech Canvas support team. Thank you, guys.
Also, guys, there's an announcement. Tech Canvas is starting its CBAP batch this Saturday, and we are also offering 5% off on the CBAP training, which is valid till tomorrow. So if anybody of you is interested, you can check out our website. Thank you all.
The recording has stopped.